Welcome back to another opportunity to learn, grow, and come back to uncover that inner power that exists within all of us and just needs to be uncovered, right? It's been suppressed for a little while, maybe, just needs to be uncovered. And we are coming back to that, and we are aligning from this place to show up in our life with more of that power and that peace that exists within. And today, I want to talk about something that I know plays a large part in our society, and I know it's played a large part in my own life, and that is taking things personally. Taking things personally is exhausting, and it strips you of your vital life energy. Okay? But taking things personally it's very easy to do, right? Because when we are out at work and somebody treats us poorly, or they're mean to us, or they're aggressive, or maybe our spouse or our partner is irritable with us, or maybe we're not getting enough attention from our parents, it can be very easy to think, oh, maybe I did something that is causing them to treat me this way. When in reality, the core message of this video is that people's actions, how they are showing up in the world, is purely a reflection of what is going on in their internal environment. In other words, if somebody is angry, right, pissed off, their actions in the external world, the external environment, they're probably going to be more irritable. They're probably going to be more short, right, in how they talk to you. Whereas if somebody's really happy and they're feeling joyful, they're going to be a bit more playful with you. They're going to be a bit more self-accepting, right? And this, understanding this, can alleviate our ability to show up in the life the way that we want to, because so much less of our energy is going towards getting triggered by how somebody is treating us, right? If we're constantly reacting to how somebody is treating us, then we can't use that energy that's being tied up to pour it into other parts of life that we want to pour it into. And so when we recognize that whatever is going on in that person's internal environment is causing them to treat us this way, we can let go of that and come back to ourselves. Instead of reacting to it, we can respond to it. Say, I know maybe this person is going through a challenging time right now. And then you could release that, let go of that energy, right? Let go of the stickiness of whatever they're putting on you. And then you come back to yourself. You come back to that power that exists within you when it's not being suppressed by other things, right? And it's our choice to show up the way that we want to that way. Now, at first glance, at first understanding that things are never personal, it can be hard to really digest and feel how true it is, especially if we've gone our entire lives taking things personally. Myself included, I was sensitive as a child, and sensitivity is a great thing. It could be a double-edged sword where sometimes it's very challenging, or it could be great because you get to really go in deep in your relationships because you get to sense their emotions and whatnot. But growing up and being quite sensitive, I was always sensitive to how people were treating me, and I was constantly taking things personally. And how my mom was treating me, how my friends were treating me, trying to figure out what it meant, what I did wrong. And so much of my energy went towards trying to figure out what I did wrong and what was wrong within me that would cause them to treat me so poorly. And that would trigger that outdated conditioned thought, that fear that I got when I was very young of feeling like I wasn't enough, feeling like I, wasn't deserving of their love, and that's why they were treating me this way. When in reality, and when I had this realization of things are not personal, in reality, it was just their own experiences and whatever they were moving through, whatever they were triggered about, right? Whatever challenge they were working through, whatever trauma was coming up for them, whatever emotion was taking control of their state that was making them treat me a certain way. And once I recognized this and sat with it, I think for a couple of years before it really hit me inside, wow, did I let go of a lot of energy that was not serving me. And then I was able to use that energy to just show up and create more of the life that I wanted to be living. and so much less anxiety, so much less sadness, so much less anger for being treated the way that I was being treated, and so much more understanding around the people around me. And this allows us to also show up in relationships in a very powerful way, because when we can understand one another without being triggered by them, without being triggered by their actions, because we know that it's not personal, then we could show up with that person and say, hey, what's going on? What are you working through? I know that this situation that you went through could be challenging. How can we work through it together? Can I support you? Would you like support? And then you could work through these challenges together, and that brings so much more depth to the relationship and so much more power to you. And that is so gigantic. Now, a very simple and very common example with this not taking things personally lesson is, think about when you're driving on the freeway, driving on the highway, and somebody zooms past you and kind of cuts in front and gets in your lane. Often, for me, my first reaction was like, what the fuck are they doing? They just cut me off. I wasn't even going that fast, and I quickly get into that mind cycle of taking it personally. I wasn't even going that fast. Or I wasn't even going that slow. When in reality, if we kind of take that lens and put it to the side and bring in another lens and get a macro perspective, then we could think, maybe they're late for a really important meeting. Maybe there's a family emergency and they have to get there immediately. Or maybe there's, they're having a newborn child. There's a newborn being born in the family and they want to get there because they don't want to miss it. Right? When we could start to take the lens of taking things personally off, there's an entire other world that exists beyond. And that world that exists beyond, it's so much less stressful. It's so much less anxious, because we're understanding what's going on for other people and how it's really not personal. And that is very helpful. And another question that you could ask yourself to become even clearer on why things aren't personal is, think about the times that you were angry, when you were triggered, right? When you were triggered, you had anger or you had sadness, whatever it might be, and as a result, how did you treat people? Was it really their fault? Something that happened at work, you were pissed off about it, it triggered you, and then you came home and you talked to your partner a certain way? Like, was it really that person's fault, right? You get to understand yourself and how you also reflect your own internal environment in the external environment. And that's big. And the last thing that I'll say here also is that everybody has something going on in their lives that we have no idea even exists, right? Different challenges that they've moved through, different traumas that they've experienced. They're all determining what's going on inside of us and how we're showing up in the world. And at the same time, it's never personal, because everybody who is treating another person poorly is coming from their own shit that they're moving through. And then, it's like a constant throwing shit back at each other, because this person's moving through their own shit and is reflecting it back on this person, and this person is triggered by that, and then they get upset and they throw it back at that person, when really the simple solution here is, if we could just understand that we're human, we all have challenges that we're moving through, and we can understand that it's not personal, then there is so much more love and there is so much more abundance within our own personal lives, that we can show up to our relationships, that we could show up to our work with, that we could show up to our friendships with, etc., that will just make our lives better and make the world better off. And that is extremely, extremely helpful for moving forward if we want to create this better life for ourselves. If this content was valuable to you, please feel free to reach out. Let me know if there's questions that you have. Let's have a conversation about it. You can keep them public down here below in the comments, or you can reach out to me on this way or that way. You can reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook, and we have a little bit more of a private conversation about it. And we can move forward. And if only you found this really valuable, a like and a subscription goes a really long way. But again, only if you found it valuable. Otherwise, I challenge you to go about life after this video and think to yourself, anytime that someone does something that you don't like, What's going on in their lives? Was it really meant to be taken personally? What's going on in their lives? Change that lens out a little bit. I will see you in the next video. Much, much love.